So welcome to this class. What you're going to need for your badass yin session this evening is a blanket. We're going to be using it, folding it up in different ways to sit on the floor with it. If you have a yoga bolster, it's helpful, but you don't need it. 2 bed pillows, 3 bed pillows, a cushion. It's always nice. I also like to use scarves. Now, we're not using them to like stretch or anything. I actually like to stuff these underneath my knees, but today we might not need them. You might want to use them under your hips. I just find like having 2 like loose pieces of fabric are very handy. And then also yoga blocks for under your hands. We're going to be doing a dragon pose today, and you might want something to rest your hands on. If you don't have blocks, you can use 2 books or be creative, put your hands up on something that's even. You can also use your own leg. With that said, we're going to get right into this class. We have 15 minutes. I've already wasted 3. We're going to still do 15 minutes. So just so you know, we're going to be ending at like 20 after today, just so that everybody knows ahead of time. So come to your mat. I'm going to bring this a little closer, and I invite you also, make sure you're getting your props right now. If you're still, that's fine. I also invite you to bring a mug of tea. I have chosen a glass of red wine for this evening's class. So please, I invite you to do the same. So we're starting the class today in a butterfly pose. So fold up your blanket so that you can sit on it in a way that the edge of your seat is on the edge of your blanket, and you want to intend the pelvis to be slanting toward the ground. So it's almost like a way to lift your seat up. And from here, you're going to bring the soles of your feet together and create a diamond shape. So we're not pulling your heels all the way in like you do in a power yoga class. We're having that diamond shape. And then your props can come into play here. If you want to stuff your scarves underneath your hips, that works. If you would like to use a bolster in front of you to lean on, or some pillows, that works as well. Blocks are also useful. So bringing the soles of the feet together, sitting up nice and tall to start. Inhale to lengthen up your spine. As you exhale, lead forward with your heart with a long spine. And once you feel like you can't go any further without rounding, then it's okay to start to settle in and round into your spine. I'm starting a timer here. This is going to be our longest pose. So just take a moment as you settle in here into butterfly pose, to just allow yourself to relax and really arrive on your yoga mat. And just noticing how your breath affects every aspect of your body in this pose. You might feel it in your hips, maybe in your spine, your back. And let's just quickly review the principles of this practice. Yin yoga is like almost like the opposite of what we're used to in a yoga practice. There's 3 guiding principles that will help us come into the pose at an appropriate depth. What that means is finding a position in which you feel slightly uncomfortable, like it's at that edge line, but you're not in pain. Once you get there, the next principle is to resolve to remain still. So setting yourself up in a way so you're not adjusting, so you're not fidgeting. You also want your eyes closed, so keeping your eyes closed as well. And finally, the 3rd principle is to hold the pose for time. As we marinate in these poses, you'll notice that if you're very relaxed and allow your breath to relax you, you'll go deeper as you hang out. So just allow yourself to let all of your muscular effort go. Find yourself working with gravity. We've got 1 minute to go. Let yourself be aware of your breath and aware of the sensations in your body that are happening as you succumb to gravity and breathe. Take one last deep, deep breath here. And let it go. And slowly, really slowly, when we come out of a yin pose, we really take our time. So just come up nice and slow. Maybe moving your props aside. And use your hands to help your knees up, bringing the soles of the feet to the floor. Hands come behind you. Take your knees nice and wide, and we'll just windshield wiper the knees side to side to release your hips. Give yourself a little massage on the floor. Now, when you're ready, we're going to come into a dragon pose on the right. So for this, I would love for you to set up the blanket across your mat, just so you've got some extra padding underneath the back knee. We're going to start in table. Bring your knees onto that blanket and your hands under your shoulders, and step your right foot between your hands. Stack your right knee over your right ankle and walk your left knee back. You're allowing your hips to press forward and down. You can have your hands up here on your right knee, or feel free to bring your hands to the mat or blocks. So this is where blocks would be really handy here. I'm going to start our timer. We're going to be here for 1 minute, and then we'll transition into a sleeping swan for 1 minute. So in this pose, your hips are heavy, and be aware of your spine. I don't want you rounding too far forward. Keep your spine nice and straight, nice and long. And in this pose, when you're trying to release your muscular effort, think about letting it go in that back leg and work your way up to the front leg. Obviously, your leg is going to be doing some work here. You won't be able to let it all go. But just do your best to soften into this pose and breathe. And we'll take one more deep breath here. And let it go. And slowly, we're going to come into a sleeping swan. So shift your hips back just for a moment so that your hips are stacked over that back knee. Your right knee is coming to your right wrist, and your right foot is coming towards your left hip across the mat. It does not need to be 90 degrees. Coming into that sleeping swan. So inhale and then exhale, folding forward, just allowing your hips to be heavy. Block for the forehead, a bolster for under your upper body. Set yourself up so you're propped up and just relaxing here in this pose. Ensure your pelvis is neutral. It might be hard to see because of my ugly sweater, but my hips are not leaning to one side. I want you to ensure that your hips are the same height to the floor on both sides. And just start letting everything go. Let go of your right foot, your right ankle. We've got 1 more minute here. And just notice where your mind is as you release in this pose. It's easy for your mind to wander away from your practice. Your only job right now is to notice your breath and your body. Be aware of how you feel. And you'll take one last deep breath here. And let it go nice and slow. Slowly make your way back up onto your hands. Shift your hips back. Come into a table, hands and knees. Make sure there's space for your toes on the other side of your blanket, and we'll take downward facing dog. Press your hips up and back. You can just pause for a beat and then drop back down onto your knees if you'd like. It's just to release it, so it's not about holding down dog. And we're gonna go straight to the other side. So stepping your left foot between your hands, ensuring that you've got your left knee stacked over the ankle, it's not going over the toe, stacked, and then walking that right leg back. The top of your foot is on the floor. Your hands can be on blocks, on the floor, upright on your knee, whatever feels great for you. And I will start our timer. So just let gravity do the work here in your hips. Breathe into the sensations that you're feeling. And just let go of the effort, as much of it as you can. Try to keep your eyes closed. If you notice that you've got your eyes open, let yourself go inside and take one more deep breath here. And let it go nice and slow. And start to shift your hips back, coming into that table, knees together. And then when you're ready, bringing your left knee to the outside of your left wrist, walk your right knee back, coming into that sleeping swan pose on the left. Setting yourself up. Take a big breath in before you fold. And as you exhale, come on down, either onto your forearms or your all the way down to the mat if it feels good. You can also use a block. I like to use a block here. And just let yourself melt into the floor. We have 1 minute to go here in this pose. And again, just really paying attention, like where is your mind? Are you focused on your task right now of breathing? Take one last deep breath here. And let it go nice and slow. And then moving out of this pose with intention, with awareness, pressing yourself back up into a table, nice and slow. And whenever you're ready, take that downward facing dog. Only spend as much time there as you need today. Dropping down onto your knees. One more pose to close it out. We're going to take a wide kneed child's pose. So keeping your feet and legs on the blanket. If you've still got your blanket there, that's great. Take your knees nice and wide. Big toes touch. Send your hips back towards your heels. This is also a nice opportunity to use a bolster if you've got one, or your pillows. You can stack them on top of each other and just create a little bit of a nest here. And the idea is you just want the weight of your hips coming towards your heels. Close your eyes, and we're just going to take a few deep breaths here in child's pose. And let yourself just fully relax here. If you happen to be like me and your head is to one side, now is the time to turn your head the other way so your neck gets an even amount of attention on both sides. And when you feel ready, start to lift up your forehead, press into the floor, walk your hands in toward your body and come up. Move all your props out of the way and position your blanket in a way if you'd like to sit on it in cross-legged seat to close out our practice. Sit up nice and tall. Keep your eyes low or closed. Bring your hands to heart center. And let's just close our practice here with gratitude. I'm just so grateful for all of you that showed up. So let's just be grateful that we have this little mini community here for our short 15-minute class. I'm so grateful for you. So this is our moment of gratitude. Also, Merry Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate. 'Tis the season. Happy holidays. Namaste. Love you guys. Thanks.